live.
We are
Okay.
live.
Moto Monday. What are we at? 125 with this one? 125? All right. Moto Monday number 125. What's up, Johnny?
Just hanging out here on this beautiful, hot, muggy Vancouver day.
It is a little muggy.
It's a little muggy.
We had like, what, a week of rain, and so now it's,
Yeah.
Eh.
Better than the smoke of the weeks past.
You know, I will take this over that smog. It was almost, man, like out of a video game waking up a couple days watching. For the people who are in different states than us, we had some crazy smoke come in because of the fires, and it was weird when, because you'd look, especially when the sun was rising, it gets that weird orangish glow
Haze.
everywhere. It's a haze.
We caught the first of it at Top Gun and kind of seen it roll in up on the hill. But yeah, eerie, dude, for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah,
Didn't
that
see
was
the
it was
sun.
really bizarre. I mean, cool pictures.
Yeah. Not too good on the lungs.
You know, something a lot of people don't know, and I joke about that. It didn't affect me, and I think back when I was right out of high school, smoking a pack of Marlboros a day, kind of set me up to do just fine for this.
The cloves.
Oh, I did do a little bit cloves, yes.
I think everybody did cloves.
I think every senior smoked a few cloves.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's the first time I've literally ever said that on the podcast, but you know, we all went through a stage.
Chicks loves the cloves.
I still would probably like one. But I know it's not the best thing for you, which, to be fair though, neither is racing dirt bikes, but we still do it.
It's different.
It is different though.
Different kind of love.
It's more of a, the thing about cigarettes is, or any of that, is like, you already know what you're doing every time, where moto, you have so many good times where there's no issues. It's that one bad 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, why am I doing it?
It's a love-hate relationship.
Very love-hate relationship, yes. So how do I introduce you to people who don't know you? Like, what would you say your title is?
I don't know. I'm just a dude that works at Motorsport Hillsboro and loves to race his dirt bike every weekend he gets, man.
So you're at Motorsport Hillsboro.
Yes, sir.
What do you do there?
I sell fun.
Do you sell, are you parts, you sales?
No, I work in sales.
So you sell the bikes, the fun stuff.
So the bikes, side-by-sides are huge right now. Four-wheelers are always hot. Farming, hunting season, it's pretty much always something in the need and the want in that industry. Right now, everybody wants a 21 dirt bike. And they're kind of like,
We're at that time.
where they're at that time. Well, we're past time. Everybody calls me and messages me. I promise you, when we get them, you'll all be the first to know. It'll go big when those 21 Honda 450s get here.
So how long you been working over at Motorsport?
January will be 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
5 years in sales.
Yeah.
Did you have any experience in selling bikes before then?
No, I was a bartender, and I.
Wait. You went from being a bartender to selling dirt bikes.
It's a half a beer story, but it's a good one. We got time, really.
Dude, we got time. I want to hear the story. How'd you go from a bartender to selling dirt bikes?
So I've always been involved with motorcycles, really, since I was little. So I've always known the guys at Motorsport, and one day I came in to get parts, and Scott Russell's like, let's talk. And I was like, okay. You know, when he says talk, you listen. And basically I told him I was bartending, and he laughed, and next thing you know, I'm selling fun at Motorsport and never really looked back.
Simple as that, huh?
Simple as that.
Do you miss the bartending?
No, not at all.
I have to think, though, you had some good stories from bartending.
Yes, lots of them. But, you know, as a single dad, it was a good outlet for me to work weekends. I didn't really get to party too much because I was a dad, you know. So to get to go to the bars and watch everybody else have fun and kind of be a part of them having fun, and you know, it was good. It was fun. It was a means to an end, you know.
Yeah. Man, I know a few people who've bartended. They have the best stories.
I got good stories.
Literally the best stories. Stuff that, like,
You can't make it
you
up.
question, like, did you seriously make that up? Like, no, I don't think you could actually make that up. That happened.
I have some of those. I'm sure some people in the after show will asks.
Okay,
they'll
so
poke the bear
do we
a
have
little
to
bit.
wait for the after show for the good ones then? We can wait.
Yeah, we can wait.
Okay,
Let's wait.
all right. We can stick to dirt bikes for this one. And sorry for people watching live. I forgot to update a few of our Facebook groups on this. I'm trying to get everyone updated on Moto Monday number 125. I was a little excited for this one, to be honest, because we've never really chatted. It's one of those things like, I know who you are. I've seen you at the track,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
we're Facebook friends, but we've never really just sat down and have a chat. And that's sometimes where it's the most fun, though, especially on the show here. Like, I had no idea you were a bartender.
Yeah,
It's kind of fun getting to learn some of the stuff.
it is. And I had a buddy ask me, he goes, "Do you know that dude?" And I'm like, "Actually, bro, I've never met him." Like we're mutual acquaintances of places, and we probably have a bunch of friends. But
I know you've raced in Riverdale,
Yeah.
some of the events I run there, and I know you're at Motorsport, but we've never really chatted. So it's like, oh, this will be fun. We get to figure some stuff out.
it's a great thing about the Moto family is how you end up meeting people through people, kind of like where motorcycles takes you, just on and off the bike. It's just weird, man.
And that's why, honestly, we were talking a little bit before we turned the cameras on. It's why I kind of have pushed with this show to keep it going, and why I really enjoy it is it's a way for us to, not just you and me. Okay, so we're going to have a conversation for probably a couple hours here.
Yeah.
And we have a surprise guest, by the way, for those watching live later. But we're going to get to know each other a little more. And even people I've brought on that I've known for years, I've gotten to know more, because we're literally just sitting here chatting, and then everyone watching get to know it too.
For sure.
And you can see someone at the track for 20 years and not ever really get to know their story. You know what I mean? You get the basics, but you see the same basics all the time. Okay, yeah, he throws his wrench when he gets a bad starter, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, you don't actually get to really know them, and I think it's fun to be able to bring on people in different sides of the sport, in different parts of the whole community, and I don't know, just get to know a little more, just kick back, talk moto, and I think it's a cool platform. Something we didn't have 15 years ago. This wasn't a thing. Like all this we're doing here, this wasn't even a thing. You had Krusty and Terra Firma. That's all you got.
We watched Supercrosses on what was it, a week later on ESPN?
Yep.
You didn't have instant live feeds, you know what I mean? Now you're printing backgrounds. Kids don't know like how we used to have to do it back in the day. Cutting it out, putting the numbers, clearing it. It was, it was an all weekend affair of being mad and still look like crap and you were done.
Yes.
Now your graphics are on in 20 minutes looking factory.
It's the fact that I went through that and I had to put on my numbers, and I had my dad yell at me because they were crooked, because he's like, you got to get them straight before we put the clear over the top on my RM80.
It's wild.
And now, I mean, there's everybody like making pre-printed stuff, and it's just slap and go. But that's the whole reason I kind of got into it. I think I've brought this up on the podcast. I wanted to custom paint helmets first, but I got in late and I sucked at it. I was like 12, 13, and I'm trying to compete with Blosian, with Screwy. These guys have been doing it forever, and they were kicking my butt. Dude, I could not create the stuff they were creating. And so I got in, but it was at the time where helmets slowly started to look cool. Because for whatever reason, in the 90s, they were butt ugly.
Yeah. 90s gear was bad. I pull out some of the 90s gear.
Dude, the gear was better than the helmets. So there was a reason the pros had custom helmets, because no one wanted to run the helmet graphics.
Well, and being an artist, I'm sure everything flat looks good. And then you put it on a circle, and you're like, that doesn't look good. I'm not an artist, but it just seems like it would be two totally different things.
Go look at okay, I'm going to butcher this. Biaffi?
I had those back in the day. Stefan Everts and all those guys, European dudes wore those.
I don't know who designed their stuff, but they must have been high as a kite, because it was this weird swirly squiggle, like it was bad. 90s gear was kind of bad, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
The helmets was
bright.
the worst. The helmets was the worst. It's like, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't use the same people for the gear for the helmets.
Well, the helmets were so bad, you remember who had them. Matasevich had cool helmets out of the box. That was the only guy from like showy helmets. He's still getting royalties off those helmets.
Probably, yeah.
It's crazy.
Dude,
But yeah, they were
forgot about
horrible.
him. Chicken legs.
Yeah. The feathers.
He was blown up in the magazines back in the day. They
crazy.
loved that guy.
Yeah,
He was like our Roxon now.
for sure. And he had style. And he was
Oh, yeah.
he was a boisterous guy. And he was fast.
You gotta at least have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had something to him that helped. You know,
Persona. There was just something about
there was
him.
something about him. He had something there. There's people that we forget very quickly, and then there's people that, I mean, we all remember Guy Cooper. Like, when was the last time he did a national? It's been a while, but everyone still knows Guy Cooper.
Guy Cooper was my favorite rider growing up.
Dude, Guy
Hands
Cooper.
down, my favorite dude.
He was my top 5.
Yeah.
He's
he
a
was
wild
right.
man too.
I got a ride with him in Oklahoma, and that was his last year on Suzuki with the RMXs, which was just a turd bike back in the day. And
Yeah.
all those guys just hauled ass Suzuki. That team was just gnarly in the mid-90s they had. It was crazy. But yeah, he did everything so good, and he was so quiet, and he was just so nice. Super chill dude.
He was a rare breed, and if need be, he could send it.
Yeah.
Like, some of the jumps, and even to this day, some of the jumps he does. And I don't know if you've heard any of the party stories, but that
No.
guy, you didn't hear any Guy Cooper party stories?
No, I knew he went through 3 wives, so
There was a
That's-
video, I forget which pit bike video, but there's a video of, what was it? So they used to run this pit bike race through a bar. They would run it through the bar, outside. Travis Pastrana was at the first one, and of course Kenny Bartram, and all that crew. And they'd go outside, kind of like supermoto style, and then come back through. And they ran, I think, pit bikes. They had what were those things that was like a go-kart, but they had like a beer thing on it, like a cooler or something.
like a bar stool thing.
Thank you. Yeah, they had bar stool races there, and his wife and daughter hopped on one of those topless and went through the bar
To be a little,
with him cheering on.
I think that'd be a little top heavy. with the
I
bar
think that's
stool.
slightly inappropriate, but I kind of have to appreciate the savagery where he's playing music and cheering him on.
It's well, where he's from, it's different.
Oklahoma's a little different.
It's a little different. He was a big pit bike guy too.
Yeah, he was involved in Extreme, who brought in the first Chinese pit bikes.
Yeah, huge.
My dad was actually one of the first dealers in the United States.
Crazy how fast that all like the 11 pit bikes, the evolution of this pit bikes and how it's back. And I mean, dudes are paying 15 grand for a stock 110 now. It's insane.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed?
Obviously, if anyone watches this podcast, they know I'm a diehard pit biker. I was there when it first started coming around. I had one of the first Chinese bikes, the Extremes, which I'm sorry, they were crap. I never quit loving them, but the whole pit bike scene took a dive, and I didn't quit. I was running events with 5 people. Literally, I would put out flyers, I would send out postcards, put it on social media. I had a MySpace for pit bikes. I mean, I would blast it out there, and 5 people showed up, and I'm sitting there like, I paid
Wow.
$500 for insurance, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Dumpster fire.
But I still ran them, and they were dead, and then I noticed it's like, a little uptick. And I've talked to Dwayne Brown about this, that like once it like caught fire again, it's blown up.
Well, I think is what you've got now is it's cool to ride a motorcycle. When we were younger, you didn't really ride, you just raced. You weren't really cool if you just rode. Now you got Hodges and Buttery and all these dudes that just go ride their dirt bike, and it's cool, you know? The kids just want to ride. You see, Washougal, Saturday practice day, they'll have 500 people. Sunday you go to race and you're like, dude, we're gonna have full gates, and there's 250 people there. It's wild how.
Do you think that's good or bad?
Depends on how you really look at it. Industry-wise, I mean, through this whole pandemic here, every motorcycle shop is blessed. Every dude doing anything that has to do with 2 wheels has been so busy. The whole industry has just exploded in a time when everybody thought it was going to crash. You know, motorcycles are a want; they're not a need, and it's insane. I mean, everybody's busy. Everybody's in the industry is super blessed, like record numbers across the board for everything. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I think of a lot of people who are in the power sports game are people who actually, they have good jobs, they're working, you know what I mean? It hasn't really been affected by them, as weird as that may sound.
No,
Motorsport industry people,
makes
they're
sense.
usually hard-working people. You know what I mean? They spend all their money on dirt bikes. I mean,
You see a lot of contractors at the racetrack.
a lot of contractors.
It was actually something my dad pointed out because he was a former contractor.
Yeah.
Well, actually, now he is again. But you see a lot of, it's I hate to put a class to it, but it's almost like the hardworking, slightly middle class, or small business owner, contractor, plumber types who
for sure.
like dirt bikes and stick it out and go to the racetrack. And those guys are still hammering down. And so tell me, during this whole, whatever you want to call it, pandemic, what has it been going on since March? We're deep 6-7 months in.
Yeah, for sure.
What did it do for bike sales, working at a shop?
Record number sales all month, every month.
Why do you think that is?
I think that a lot of people, like you said, your kids are out of school. People are still working and having fun, and they're just going and doing stuff, you know. This whole thing has kind of changed how big businesses is going to do business, and how parents are kind of forced to hang out with your kid now. He's not in school for 6 hours a day. He's not at his buddy's house. He's not at sports, you know. And anybody who's put their kid through sports, motorcycle's not really that much more expensive than traveling baseball. Or I have a 23-year-old son, and I've spent a lot of money chasing baseball games, you know. It's really the same thing. It's just really what you want them to do. And I think people in the motorcycle, power sports people, I think they're just hardworking people, man, who they're always going to find a way to have their fun. That's what they want to do.
It's a release, I think,
It's
for a lot of people.
release, for sure, absolutely.
It's a release. You you go work your butt off. You want a good release. So that was my theory. I was curious. You're on the front line. You're the one actually selling the machines to people. So I think you would have a better read than I would. But it feels to me that with all this going on, if anything, people want more of a release, because everyone, I think, everywhere is more stressed than normal.
Yes.
We're all stressed.
Absolutely.
We don't know what's going on. We're having riots. Around here, we're having fires. Actually, around here, we're having a lot of riots. And, we have a pandemic, people not working. I think just the general feeling is everyone is a bit more stressed than normal.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more uncertainty. And I think this is the time where people want to just blow off some steam and go ride.
Yeah. I mean, even you look at like camper sales, people are camping. There's been more people staying at the tracks on Saturday nights than I've seen in a long time. You know, it's cool to see. The race has been packed, man. It's good to see. It really is.
Personally, even though I am a race promoter, I love seeing big practice days.
Yeah.
Because we need people out riding, you know? We need people out riding. I don't care if you're racing, if you're practicing, or if you're just trail riding. I love just to see people riding. I think it's good for you. So I actually don't care, and I actually would almost encourage more people to just go ride rather than jump out and race. The problem is, if you're not ready for a race and you go race, let's say you're a new guy, right? Let's say someone comes to you. They rode 20 years ago. He's in his mid-40s. He's like, it'd be fun to go, ride again. He buys a bike, and he rides once or twice, and then goes and, let's say PIR. There's a good chance he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
He's not going to be fully comfortable on the bike. He's going to be thrown in a situation where, like, oh my gosh, everyone's here, there's full gate, all this going on. He's going to be like, oh, we got to go. I got to hit that big double that I have not done since I was 15. And, and that's how you get hurt.
For sure.
Just go have fun. You don't have to go race.
Absolutely.
Even if you never race, doesn't matter. Just go have fun.
You see a lot
Ride a
of
dirt bike.
A lot of tracks now are having more and more practice days, which is cool.
For good reason.
For a good reason.
People want to do it. It's easier. It is easier from the track promoter side to run a practice than a race. You don't need scoring and all that. And if that's the demand, and that's what they want to go do it.
Whatever gets them to the track, man. Kids hanging out, positive influences with other like-minded kids. That's what I like to see at the track. It's seeing those 50, 60, and 85C gates full. It seems to be coming back, which is pretty nice. 4 or 5 years ago, when I got back into motocross, you didn't see the youth classes per se super busy like you do now, which that's good for us.
So you say get back into it. Did you take a break from it?
I did. I took a break in 2004, 5. I was a single dad. Just kind of fell out of love with all the things that come with racing.
Mm-hmm.
Packing the bags, the maintenance on the bikes. You know, that's what my Monday now is. All I do is work on bikes. But luckily now I have help. My girlfriend did. I feel bad sometimes. You go get your butt whipped, and it's like she spent 5 hours packing the van for me to ride 15 laps and get a 4th place trophy, you know. But I think that's really what made it fun again. And, you know, a lot of the people I ride with, sometimes I don't really want to go to the track, but when you have that moto fam and you're like, you know, my buddies are going to be there, so I've already committed, so I got to go. But yeah, it's been super fun the last 3 years with just the company I've been riding with. Fresh Start team, Steve Graham, the Johnstons, hanging out with the girlfriend and all those kids, dude. It's been like a kid again. It's been fun.
So you're getting back into it. When did you first start? Like were you into this as a kid? To come later?
Yeah, 1991-ish. Once we moved to Oregon, it's kind of an outlet for my mom. She got me a motorcycle, and it was kind of all downhill from there. I was hooked, man. She took me all over racing, and we had so much fun. So now it's like, it's fun again. And she always said, I'm gonna not pay for you to do this if it's not fun. About 21, I realized this isn't fun anymore. It's more work than fun. So we just did the dad thing. I got a street bike in about 2010, and I was like hooked again. Started riding on the street. Started working at Motosport, got to itch ride dirt bikes, and then, you know, now we're racing 2 classes every weekend. Back to maintaining 2 bikes. Slow learner. But the help, man, like the people around you is what really makes it fun for me now. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, man.
Pretty
Once
cool.
you get in, I've fallen in and out of love of the sport, but it's a good time, yeah. And you get to meet cool people. And it's hard to find a replacement for it, especially you go racing. As long as you don't take it too serious and burn yourself out and start hating the sport,
For sure.
happens.
Oh, yeah.
More than people really realize, but it happens. As long as you don't go down that path, you have fun. You get to meet cool people. You get out and you race, and you get to go bang bars with your buddies, and afterwards you can still high five and have a drink later. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool, you know. And you don't get to do that in a lot of other areas. You brought up baseball. You don't get to do that in baseball. You go there, you sit in the stands, you watch your kid.
Yeah.
You're not involved
No.
as the same level as like a moto race.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, it's not just racing either. It's the
Or even
2 or
riding,
3
yeah.
days
Yeah.
before and the 2 or 3 days after, you're prepping bikes with your dad or whoever, you know what I mean? Your buddies, you're working on it. There's so much that comes involved with riding that's the hardest part in sales too, is people like, I'm gonna buy a new 450, dude. I'm gonna ride every weekend. You know, me and my buddies can go do all this cool stuff. And it's like, I hope so, but slow down. Do some practice days.
Yeah, definitely do some practice days. Do you ever have to, working in the sales department, talk people down from a bike that you can tell they really should not be getting? Like, I'm sure it's actually worse because you sell all of them, right?
Yeah.
Street, dirt, everything.
Street bikes are the worst.
Street bikes, there's a broad range on those suckers. There's a big difference between a Grom and a Hayabusa. Or no, what's the turbo one we got now? The Kawasaki.
The H2s and the things like that.
Yeah.
The Ninja. Yeah, supercharged bikes.
Basically a bike no one really needs to own.
No, no. Well, you always get the kid who bought the Ninja 300, you know, and then you see him next summer and he wants, you know, Gixxer 1000. And you're kind of like, it's really a tough spot because you really can't tell, you know, this grown man, hey, buddy, like, you have no business. I have one. I have no business owning one. I've been riding motorcycles for 35 years, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need it. Europe has much better rules and regulations on street bikes. That's why you're seeing so many little bikes now for the road here. It's because they're much more structured. You can't just turn 18 and go down to DMV and get your license and come see Johnny at Motosport and buy a CBR 1000. It just doesn't
No
work like that.
18-year-old should not a 1000. I'm sorry. Just unless you're like Andy DeBrino, you grew up racing on it, okay. But I mean, okay, so dirt bikes. I've been racing for 20 years.
Yeah.
I've been at the track a few times. I've been on a dirt bike a few times. I've been on a lot of different bikes. My street bike is a KTM 390, and there's been times where that thing got me in trouble. Like, There's literally times that thing got me in trouble. It's a single cylinder, basically 400, and that sucker has put me in a few situations where I'm like, oh boy.
It's fun though.
Well, it is, but I think people do get a little carried away. And okay, for example, we can go to dirt. Okay, I have a CRF 450 that it was some roach I picked up from U of MX, and I'm joking because Joe's here, but I got a CRF 450. It has a few goodies and stuff, and once again, I've been riding for a long time. I've been racing for a long time. That thing has put me into trouble a few times where like I thought I was going wide open into the trees. And honestly, I've considered dialing it down a notch. Maybe I need a 350. Maybe I'm going back to a 250. I think people do get a little ahead of themselves. I'm super curious though, like how often do you have someone in the store that like, you should not get that bike. You should maybe look at a slightly smaller one.
Way more than you would think. At least a couple times a week.
We're cranking out, I mean, we have amazing machines.
Yeah.
But the
There's
problem
other
is
options.
not everyone can handle that. I don't think, I actually got booted out of a Facebook group over this comment that 90% of the people who own 1000s or 1 liters should not own a 1 liter because you can't ride them.
You really can't. And like right now, Kawasaki doesn't pay me, but the Ninja 400 is the funnest bike you can buy. You can ride the thing on the road, and you like, kind of like a 125, you can just hammer it and give her the beans, and you look down and you're doing 58 and not 110. You know what I mean? It's
That's
just
what I don't
so
get.
much fun.
Like, what are you guys going to do with these? I had a 650, and if I can hit the high 80s in second gear, nah, there's no use for that on the street. And that's not a 1 liter bike. That would get destroyed by a 1 liter bike. And I was riding that, and it was literally one day I was in second gear looking down like, nah, why? Nope, selling it. Nope, I'm gonna die.
Maybe that's why I never ride my CBR 1000 anymore. Just every time I get on it, it's like, this thing is just stupid. And then when you don't ride it, and then you ride it, you're like, man, this thing is just dumb.
I can see what happens when you make a small mistake.
Yeah, you just crack it. Well, it's kind of like that thing, dude. There's nothing scary in riding a 450 being tired.
Last lap.
You're chasing your buddy. You're crying, you can't hold on. You know, you're at Woodland and it's just all choppy, and you're like, that's a scary place.
I thank God though, we at least got rid of the CR 500.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna start like logging off now,
Oh no.
the one and only CR 500. But you know how many people fell off the back of those?
Those were gnarly.
Did you ever ride one? Did you ever have one?
I did not have one, but I've ridden them multiple times, and yes, it's
That is a unique
it's
motorcycle.
stupid. There was a dude at Loretta Lynn's who I had the pleasure of following him up the hill, both motos, and he finished in the top 5. He was fast on that bike, and it was, me and Russ Robbins were talking on the line. It's like, dude, I don't even care if I get a last place start. I don't want to follow that dude up that hill again. It's gnarly, and, you know, Shugo in the morning, all prepped, nice rocks going up the hill. And
Wait, Washougal?
yeah, the Loretta Lynn qualifier. So
All right, so
he did really well.
I've told the story, and I'll say it one more time because I'm sure Doug is watching. But really funny, Doug is one of our biggest supporters, Doug All, and I told this story on the after show. I don't know when, a long time ago, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was me. I was at, it was some play day." And freshly groomed Washougal early in the morning is so nice. As long as they don't overwater,
Yeah.
it is so nice. And it was a perfect day, and I'm just going out, I'm having a blast. And I come up on this guy on a Honda, and we start going up Horsepower Hill. It's a CR 500 with a paddle. The roost that thing will throw on freshly groomed Washougal dirt, and you know they disc deep,
Yeah, dig.
and he had a paddle.
Not fair.
And it was like a wall of dirt coming at me, and I was just like, what? I didn't know it was a paddle, but when I passed, I'm like, that guy has a paddle on. Apparently Doug had just come back from the dunes and didn't want to take the paddle off, so he decided, hey, first or second practice, I'm still good, whatever. And he left the paddle on.
I don't know. I would keep the front end down. It's a special kind of
He
guy.
ripped up that hill too. I mean, I could not pass him. Other than I couldn't see either, but that thing got traction up that hill. Just
Well, now they've added those whoops up the hill. Thank you, Mr. Huffman. But that thing, man, it's humbling. You can go up that thing 3-4 times super fast, hit your lines, and then 2 other times you just look horrible. It's hard to string 4 or 5 good laps around that track.
it
Can't
is.
imagine doing 20. Yeah,
It
it's
is.
wild.
I miss them running the second uphill.
The up and up.
They used to do it
Yes.
way back in the day for the
Yeah.
Nationals. Every once in a blue moon, they would run
Yeah.
it. And I'm really sad that they don't, because it was a lot of fun. So it used to be, so you jumped off the tip of the hill,
Yep.
you land down, and then that was a nice step up where you just basically give her the beans and you popped up and you landed on the flat on the second one.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun.
I remember that.
I liked that setup.
That was a fun. I don't think they have water up there.
I think that's why they don't run it, is because it's hard to get water.
They were talking about it at Top Gun, but yeah, those were the good old days. Halfway, you couldn't even see; it'd be dusty. But yeah,
Oh, I still love. Yeah, it was always dusty up.
It
That's
was
probably
still
why they
dusty.
didn't have the water. But I like that section.
Well, Shugo's fun. That's definitely my favorite place to ride.
Is that your favorite track?
Yeah, I love Woodland too. Call me weird, but rolling up with your windshield wipers on and just dumping in the morning, there's just something about,
You're a little weird.
I'm a little weird. I don't know. I just love Woodland. It's such a cool. I raced there as a kid. I always done good. I've done fairly well there in the vet classes, but there's just something about that place. It's like, the other 8 dudes who showed up are pretty badass too. If they're gonna ride through that, or they're stupid.
Literally never had a good day at Woodland. The only time I have fun is when I'm riding some obscure bike like a XT 225 or like a CR80 or
Yeah.
something weird, and I don't care, and I just have fun sloshing through the mud. We're good. But Woodland has a way of putting me on the ground violently, like very violently, and to be fair, so does Riverdale. I run the Winter Series at Riverdale, but I will say Riverdale does not treat me nice. And I don't think I'm a good winter sand rider. I like Mountain View. I like hardpack.
I love Mountain View.
I was born in the wrong state. I should be in Cali because
Yeah.
I love me some hardpack.
I have a love-hate relationship with Riverdale. If I go there for a practice, I hurt myself. If I race, I bring home a trophy. It's really weird. It's really weird. Every time I practice there, I hurt something. Every time I race there, I win or get, top 3. It's weird.
I think it's pretty even across the board. I also hit the trees there. If there's a tree, I will hit it.
That's work.
So the back section, you got a tabletop, and we run a variety of different chicanes after that.
Yeah.
As we come back around to the straightaway, there's that tree.
I've hit that tree.
The last race there, actually, I hit it with, it's on the right side, so your front brake. I hit it
Yep.
with my front brake, and I did a front flip. I think I almost had enough time to pull it off somewhat gracefully because I tried to put my feet on the bars to jump off. But it didn't go well. And I just ended up in the mud, and actually, Steve. I think Steve was right behind me because he yelled at me.
It's funny. He's always there at the weirdest times.
I remember hitting the ground, and I hear somebody saying something, yelling, and I'm like, oh, well, there's Steve.
Yeah, we had a Pac West at Woodland this year. I made it about 50 feet down the straightaway and ended up crashing and took a nap, and I woke up to Steve yelling at people. It was like, where did this guy come from? He just magically showed up in the middle of the track. But yeah, that was a fun day.
I hate waking up in the middle of the track.
It's just like, and then that was the first time I really scared my girlfriend riding. I've always told her, you snake chaser, sometimes you get bit, but a couple crashes here and there and little stuff. But that was like, she was like, wow, you sleep, everybody ran you over, crying, and I was just like, but it was
That's part
good. It
of
was
it,
all
though.
fun and games, yeah.
We know I think we know the risk. That's why it's fun.
Yeah. We only got it out of the way for her, so she knows.
Yeah,
She knows
yeah,
what
you
to
can look at it
expect.
that way. Yeah. My poor mother growing up watching me, because I was a goon. I did some
Yeah.
goon moves, so that was the one I felt bad. My mom always didn't like the whole racing thing. She's like, "Why are you doing that?" And then my first concussion, see, you need to be done. Thank you, Mom, if you're watching, for sticking it out.
My mom was the exact opposite.
Really? She wanted you to keep going.
I fell and unloading my bike once, and I broke my elbow. Didn't know this,
What?
but we just went riding. Mom's like, "Come on, we're going racing," and then she realized maybe there's something more to this, and yeah, I broke my elbow. But yeah,
What did you break on her? I'm curious.
just inside here. I have a bad habit of breaking inside. I've done it 3 or 4 times on motorcycles. It's weird. You get a little numb in your hand, and I'm like, broke my elbow again. Yeah, I've done it a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, it was my mom was one of those. It frustrates me now because everybody cancels races. My mom was like, we put it on the set, we're going. Like, doesn't matter, it's raining, we're going, you know. And then now it's like they always cancel the races. It drives me nuts, dude.
Once again,
Now I'm venting to the promoter.
well,
I get it.
It gets tough because the expenses have gone up.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have a good event,
Yeah.
it can get rather expensive to have a mediocre event, especially with the devil of the world, L&I, and then insurance, and, you know, it used to be, I mean, let's be real, in the 90s, you threw them $30 and a lunch, and that's what you got a flagger all day, you know.
Yeah. It's not like that anymore.
Can't really do quite that anymore. It's gotten a lot more expensive and gotten a lot tougher. And the more times we get lawsuits popping up, the more, you know, in the end, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher. So I get it. I still don't like canceling. Like, I'm willing to take an L to say I still did it for the most part. But I get why people will cancel, because it gets tough.
Yeah.
It does get tough.
For sure.
Most of the other promoters in the Northwest are my buddies. I consider them friends, and I know some of the stuff they've had to go through. I get it. And some places have way higher expenses. Like, think of Thursday Night Motocross. They don't own that track.
No.
They rent that from the city.
City of Portland, who's probably super easy to deal with.
Oh, yeah. City of Portland has to be amazing to deal with.
Yeah. It's wild.
Heavy sarcasm, by the way. So, you know what? We need to seriously, like, start bringing cake or something to the Wilders for even doing what they're doing, because
sure.
I don't know all the details, but I'm pretty confident in saying it's not a fun time dealing with the City of Portland putting on a dirt bike race.
No. And I mean, and just what I go to a lot of races just to see what the promoters are putting in just to make it COVID safe. Like, I don't know what the Huffmans have done, how much they've spent, but it's
probably a lot.
What they've done up there is, like, been to a lot of places recently with this whole COVID thing, and Washua is by far the most organized with the COVID stuff that I've seen, which is cool, super cool. But, and you look 20 years ago, it was $25, $30 to race too. So like, hasn't really gone up that much for tickets to get in, for your entry fees and things like that. The bikes are obviously a lot more money, but I think paying to play is relatively what it was 20 years ago, which is kind of crazy.
So let's get into that. Bike prices.
Yeah.
Where bikes are going.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. For a guy who sells bikes for a living, where do you think we're going? I think we're going electric soon. What do you think? Or is that not even in the near future? Is that coming quick? Or are we going to see? I mean, I'm excited. Listen, I know Gas is a red KTM.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's a different name on the screen. That's kind of cool to me. I'm down. Especially because I actually have ridden Gases back in the day. It's kind of cool to see the name. I understand there's literally nothing left over of the old brand on the current 2021 bikes. But it's kind of cool. To me, it's cool. And I would have never, in like 2004, thought we'd see Husqvarnas and KTMs dominating. Like,
bro,
this is bizarre.
When I raced KTMs in the early 90s, you would come and the people, Kmart trail machines, you couldn't find parts, just to see the evolution of that company.
Kmart trail machine. Yep.
Kmart trail. It's wild. And now, like you said, the Husky, I think that's probably the best bike that comes out of Austria right now. And I think it has to do with production. It's a less produced motorcycle. So that's kind of like their GMC. I think it's a little more high-end motorcycle. Gadgets, bells and whistles are a little bit better on the white bike, in my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the gas.
I think the Husky's corner better with that subframe.
I think so. And I think the gas is going to be a little bit more reasonably priced motorcycle. Not a lot of dudes want to spend 10 G's on a dirt bike.
Yeah.
When you can buy a 2020 Cowie, which is an awesome motorcycle, for $8,000.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
So we got the 2021 bikes now.
Cool.
2025. What do you think? What predictions? Totally for fun. What are we going to have? Are we going to have some new weird things pop up? Are we going to see some bizarre brands come back? Like, who would have guessed Gas is going to be putting together a 250 Supercross support team?
Huge effort, and all across
Who would have guessed that? So like, it's kind of fun right now.
It's
Are we
super
going to
cool.
see an electric bike? I mean, what do you think? 2025, 4 years.
Honestly, if you'd asked me 2 years ago when Alta was kicking ass, which Alta was an awesome product. Obviously, there was some faults. People are probably like throwing their phone right now, but I rode one. I thought it was cool. I mean, the suspension, but you can ride any bike and say the suspension sucks. But
They scared the crap out of me.
it was fast. It was a race bike.
Well, that was the problem. Is like it's quietly suddenly doing a wheelie on you.
Yes, it was an awesome machine, and once they went away, I think it really slowed that whole market down for motorcycles, because they were the only real player in the game that had a real bike that I think you could, any ordinary Joe could go and race that bike in his class and win. You know, whether
It's
you're
too
a vet
expensive,
guy. They were expensive, especially the road bikes. I think the dirt bikes did a lot better because the guy who's going to spend that money, it's like the Yaris guy. He doesn't care. He's going to spend more money on a car that's not cool, you know. But whatever.
Good analogy.
I don't know if it's going to be that fast. I think as soon as one of the big brands drops a full-size motorcycle, I think it's going to be game on, because everybody has something back there, whether it's Honda or, it doesn't matter what color it is, they all have something back there. I mean, Honda came out with one, 2 or 3 years ago. It was all over the magazines, it was all over the internet, and then it just kind of disappeared right around the time Alta did. I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I think once a real player has a big bike, you're going to see everybody just kind of, Yamaha's doing crazy stuff with electric motors, selling to car companies and things like that. So they all have the technology. It's about who's going to throw it out, a big bike first, which could be any time. You never know. I don't see it happening right now.
So tell me what you think of my theory. I think the number one thing holding back electric is the batteries. And I think everyone is working on their own version, like the quick change batteries now you're seeing pop in, and like stuff, I mean, quicker chargers. I initially was all about that it's coming fast, but the batteries is honestly the biggest thing with electric. You cannot deny the performance. Like the Tesla P100 or the P100D, that car will destroy almost anything that we have ever created on the street.
0 to 100, they're dirty fast.
Oh yeah, it'll
Crazy.
do. So it'll do 0 to 60 in 2.6.
Yeah.
And Elon now saying his Roadster he's been working on that. When we get around to it, we'll release it. It does it under 2 seconds.
Crazy.
I don't care what kind of supercharged Mustang you have. Not only is it going to hit everybody on the street because it's what they do, but it's also not going to beat the Tesla. All-wheel drive electric with smart technology, and it can, like, the amount of work they put into the whole traction control on those things, it's crazy. So the tech's there, but I think the main thing holding back electric everywhere is the batteries. So if you would have asked me like a year ago, I would have said, oh, it's coming really fast. I think it's going to be a little more now, a little more time, but I think if we can figure out, I don't know if you, I geek out.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I geek out in weird places. I played StarCraft as a kid. I was a nerd.
That's weird.
See? Exactly. But they've really been messing around for a few years and trying to figure out how to use nuclear waste to create a battery. Have you seen any of that?
Yes, sir.
It seems like we're getting close. And that means you have a battery that could last for months if they get it safe. They surround it with a synthetic diamond and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think we're a ways away because you really have to prove to the public and everybody investing in you that you're not going to kill them with nuclear waste in your battery.
There's some hoops.
But if they figure that out, that could change it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly that would open up all this electric everything. I know a lot of people are really emotional over the whole switch into electric thing. I don't care. And it's not over anything over the environment. It's just, hey, if you have better performance, whatever. If it's a diesel, go diesel. If it's a gas, go gas. If it's electric, go electric. I'm not, yes, I love smelling Blenzol. Doesn't mean my race bike runs Blenzol. You know what I mean? Like, I can have an option over there, but if there's a bike that performs better, or car, whatever it is, that's my opinion. I'm down for whatever that is. And I don't know, people get weird when you start talking electric bikes. A lot of people aren't about it.
No. It was like that with cars too. I mean, look when the Prius first came out.
Well, look at when we switched from horse and buggy. Think about how many horses had nothing to do for a while.
It's wild.
Not that I was around, but
Well, I think the thing is technology is just so crazy right now. You got so many geek dudes who, You know, look at just the weird stuff Intel's just got back there. I mean,
They're going ham.
technology is just crazy right now with everything.
Do you think we're going down a bad path with that, or you think it could open up some fun stuff?
I don't know. My thing is I don't want to be told what I can and can't drive. If you want to drive an electric car, dude, go buy a car. You want a diesel, like you said, just whatever floats your boat. You know, I don't want to ride an electric motorcycle. Not right now.
See, here's the big thing I do like about electric. I mean, I get people wanting to get, you know, they have an emotional attachment to a traditional motorcycle.
Yeah.
That said, though, we're getting battered for so many reasons, and they're shutting down so many riding places.
It's crazy.
All those excuses go out the window when you have an electric bike that's quiet and doesn't put out emissions.
Yeah.
You could literally ride in your yard, and there's nothing they can complain about. All their complaints are gone now. Literally, the only thing they could get you on is like you're tearing up the dirt. But if they've done studies, horses actually are worse for the dirt than dirt bikes.
Yeah.
So that is the plus I see in electric, and that's the part that actually gets me excited, is it could open up so many more riding areas or tracks, because it is really hard to put in a new track.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, no emissions and no noise.
Noise is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that's killing all these tracks is neighbors come and move in, they don't like the noise.
We were just in Eugene this weekend, and they couldn't start practice till 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it tough when you run an event. You know, we didn't get out of there till 5:30, but they put on a good race. Hadn't been there since I was a little kid, so that was cool.
Man, I like the noise. It's fun. It gets your adrenaline going. But if that opens up more opportunities,
For sure. Well, look how far the e-bikes have come. Bicycles, e-bikes, wild. I mean,
have you ridden one of those like assist ones?
I have. I just Specialized guys. I got to ride one of those for a little while. I don't know. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to my two wheels, but
it tripped me out a little.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Justin Miller's all mad right now. He's a big e-bike guy.
Now, if you want to do a bunch of like downhill runs, I can see where that'd be kind of fun to get a little help back to the top.
Back to the top, for sure.
But when I went and rode it, it tripped me out because it didn't compute in my head when you just turn on a bit of assist.
Just a little bit.
And you're like, well, I know I'm pedaling, and like it's almost like you have the math in your head of how much you should pedal, how fast you go. Like, I'm going too fast. Like, I couldn't get over it. I rode it around for a while, and it was tripping me out the entire time.
They told me how much it was, and I just handed it back to him.
Don't look at the price tag.
I'm not cheap, but no thanks.
Yeah, do not look at the price tag on those
crazy.
suckers. My buddy, when I was riding around, actually my shop on one, and I'm like, this is weird. It's kind of fun. I could okay, how much was it? When he told me, oh, hopping off, here you go.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I'm done.
to each his own. I mean, it's cool that they're selling out of $10,000 electric bicycles to ride around. I mean, everybody's making money, you know.
Hey, if they can sell them.
It's crazy. To each his own. To each his own.
That's where I am too, is to each their own. Like, if that's what you want. I'm good with, I like options.
I like options. I mean,
options are good. So, any other wild predictions? We're going to have to go here in just a few minutes. But any like wild predictions on what are we going to see in bikes? Like, we're going to see any weird brands? Who do you think is going to be the leader? This is going to be fun. Like, you sell bikes for a living.
well, obviously I can't talk about Yamaha because I don't know much about them. I don't sell them. But as far as the brands I sell, man, it's Kawasaki's on the gas. You know, that new 250 everybody's calling. No, we don't have any of those yet.
Will Suzuki be around in 2025?
You know, I think, well, I know Suzuki's been, once they filed bankruptcy with their cars in America, they were pretty handcuffed. That's when you're really seeing teams go away that were sponsored, you know, by Suzuki. That was kind of all in the bankruptcy thing. I think in the next couple of years, you're going to start to see next year, Suzuki's going to have a full MotoGP team, I believe, which that kind of trickles down the money into racing when it comes to Japanese manufacturers. I think you're going to see some cool stuff from Suzuki in the next couple of years. I think you're going to see a new Busa. I think you're going to see some new dirt bikes. Mike Smith's doing cartwheels right now. But I think Suzuki, I think they're going to surprise people in the next couple of years. I'm not going to buy one, but it'd be cool if they, you know, it's kind of like poking the dead dude with the meme. Like, do something. No, really, like, do something. But I think in the next couple of years, Suzuki's going to do something. And I think
that's
it'll
literally
be cool.
my thoughts. Is I feel like maybe 23, 24, they're going to throw a stick of dynamite. Something just like, here you go. Well, with the whole killing like Busa and some of the plans they've been doing, I feel like they're just getting ready. And any big company,
Yes.
They don't just on the fly release something new. Like with the bikes we see, they've been working on a while. I think they're working. I think right now they're working. And this is just me talking. I haven't sold a bike in 20 years. The last time I sold one I was in high school, and I was selling Polini 50s. So this is just me spitballing because it's my podcast. But I get this weird feeling that Suzuki, I think, is trying to prepare to drop something, and which I'd love to see.
I think everybody would, really, whether you're a Suzuki fan or not.
Come on, keep them around. Let's see something cool.
Suzuki,
I give them credit for the aluminum tank. That was cool. That was
I mean, they kind of copied that from Honda, though, didn't they? Or did they have it first?
I think they did in 08, 09. They came out with it first. Dude, okay, so I have a Honda. You can't see the aluminum tank. No.
Well, they want you to unbolt it.
Very obvious. This is our big fancy. Look at the money we spent on our aluminum tank. So it was kind of cool.
I think 21, 22 at the latest, you're going to see some cool stuff drop from Suzuki.
22?
I think 22, the latest. I think maybe 21, but 22 for sure. I think
we're already dropping our 21 stuff.
I mean, not really.
Well, okay, I know it's COVID and everything. We're kind of.
Well, and that's the frustrating part for us too. Is like everybody's calling. You guys always have the bikes. It's like, dude, it's a weird world. I don't have anything for you.
Nothing makes sense.
Nothing makes sense, and nothing's gonna make sense next week. The week after that, it's just weird.
So what's your like top requested toy you guys get like
right now?
Yeah, is it UTVs?
110s right now. It's still. I don't have any 110s, but
you can't.
They don't
find
care.
them, man.
They don't care. You can't get them. Everybody wants a 110. It's wild.
I'm so happy to know that the KLX 110 has now become the #1 sought-after bike.
That, I think, obviously the new 450 from Honda and the new 250 from Kawasaki. That's but side by sides, dude. I mean, you'd be surprised at how many people are dropping 25, 30K on a side by side.
And I don't get it, but it's just not my world.
To each his own. I mean,
yeah, it's just not my world.
It's a big truck and a big trailer, and I don't have room in my garage for side by side.
I'm going to lose Facebook followers from this quote, but I just don't get why they pay so much money for a go-kart when you could go buy yourself a used S10, supercharge it, and it will literally run circles around them.
I thought the same way you did until I went to Can-Am demo days, and I drove the 195 horsepower Can-Ams. It's pretty badass. It's not going to get my 30 grand, but I understand why people spend the money.
Yeah, I've never been in one of those. I got in early with the whole Rhino thing back in the day, and I actually used to do Rhino wraps, and I quickly got out and we're like, you guys are weird, you're crazy, and this thing is a slug.
Side-by-side dude's different, but side-by-sides are...
Yeah, it's just not my world, and yeah, I'm guessing 3 people have already unfollowed me, but it's just, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You can build sandrail. What happened to sandrails? Is that still a thing?
No.
That's not a thing.
You go to the dunes anymore, you don't even really see. I mean, once in a while. You don't see like the old school dune buggies. You don't see those. You see
what
like...
happened to... Dude, what happened to the Odysseys? It's not even a thing anymore.
No. Well, you got the Polaris RZR or whatever, that one-seater thing. But
no, the one that I'm actually pissed about is they're bringing back trikes. That one needed to die.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I know you're probably watching too. BVC Racing, you need to stop. You need to. He's the guy who really started the whole like, let's take your CRF 450 and turn it into a trike thing.
Oh, like a three-wheeler?
Three-wheelers, yes.
Oh.
So he got in early. Old friend of mine, used to do graphics for them until he got his own graphics company in-house. But cool dude. He's always thinking of new, interesting things to do. And he got in super early, seeing some people were taking dirt bikes, modern, new dirt bikes, and turning them into three-wheelers. He got in, and now it's the thing. He's got a ton of followers, and he's cranking out. His big thing is a CRF 450s, and he's putting the old school ATC logo on them. But it's a modern CRF 450 that's now a three-wheeler. But like the shrouds are, I don't know what they're doing for the rear. It's probably, who knows, TRX plastics in the rear. I don't know, but it's modern day shrouds, and I'm thinking like the three-wheelers were always a death trap.
Yeah.
That should die. That was a good thing to let die. Like quads are safer than that.
Yeah. It's been weird. Last 2 weekends they've had quad racing. With the moto, it's been kind of
Wait, Eugene?
Eugene and Albany both had quad racing.
Yes. Well,
there was 3 of them. I mean, it was cool to watch. I didn't watch, but yeah, it's as long as you're out having fun.
I'm
dude,
okay with a quad.
okay.
Three-wheelers need to die.
3-wheelers are pretty crazy. And yeah, that's just, I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah, it's having ridden a 3-wheeler, I can tell you that's the sketchiest piece of equipment because it always wants a tip.
I put my leg out and run my leg over every time I rode a 3-wheeler or 4-wheeler.
Yeah, no, not a fan. I mean, honestly, I'm okay with quads, other than they blow out our corners and berms and all that.
Yeah.
But the 3-wheeler thing, like, why? Why are we bringing it back? I went to flat track this year. I went to my first flat track. It's a thing. There's a ton of trike people out there. There's a ton of 3-wheeler people. It's apparently still alive and well in
You
flat
don't want
track.
a high side on one of those. In
No,
flat track.
that's my thing. Is like you're gonna flip on your head on those suckers. Like, it was
There's a reason
horrible
why they outlawed them.
Yeah, it's a horrible idea. It was a bad design. We need to let it die.
Yeah, for
Let
sure.
it go in peace.
There's people with, and those were probably not cheap.
No.
No.
No. Anyways, we're gonna have to get out of here. We still got the after show, but before we end this one, any final words?
No, man, just thanks for having me. Obviously, Motorsport Hillsboro is a super part of my racing. They do so much for me in there. Justin Miller always keeping me look good. Fly Racing, Fresh Start Recovery. Steve, he does so much for everybody. It's a pretty cool dude. Pretty cool to be a part of. I'm glad to have him in my family of moto peeps. Pure Anchor CBD, Gate Drop, always making me look good. Fly Racing, Western Power Sports, they always keeping me fly. Yeah, man, just a dude riding dirt bikes, trying to have fun still.
All right. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, sir.
Anytime.
And yeah, we'll be back in a few for the after show. This is Moto Monday, what, 125, guys? I always forget it. You know what? After like 10, I started losing count. And we're at 125. So, Moto Monday 125. Thank you for watching or listening. And you all have a good night. Go out, ride your dirt bikes. And if you're watching live, make sure to tune in for the after show. Catch you later.